constitutional amendment to do this type of thing before to help certain programs?
Yes.
And can you tell us real briefly?
Yes, we just 2 years ago we amended the Constitution, took general fund dollars, that means we subtracted them from something else and applied them for transportation purposes. And that actually meant that we subtracted dollars that were part of the general fund. This bill actually raises the money, so we're not taking it away from education or any of the other issues. We've done it with a constitutional amendment for TAC night. We've done 119 constitutional amendments. I could go on for longer than you want.
That's all enough. Thank you. Hey, Senators, just piling it on for certain groups that get money. There's a amendment. There's scratch-off proceeds were authorized. Is this piling it on?
I'm not quite sure. Is another way of looking at that, Don, that this is low-hanging fruit for special interest groups that might come along and pluck it, and it might not be. It might be parochial, and it might be not in the best interest of our citizens to have this thing. Well, these concerns were articulated when we did the LCMR reform effort, and my sense is, for example, just to use the example of the Habitat Heritage Council, we've attempted to rig that so that the 4 legislators on it are the 2 chairs of the 2 cognizant committees in the House and in the Senate, with 8 men and women with geographic distribution who are the highest quality people we can find. And the appointments are split between the governor, the legislative, and the executive branch. Having said that, one of the first things you'll hear from me, if we rejoice on the 5th of November, this great thing happens for our state, will be the price of victory is eternal vigilance. We have 25 years to do this so very well that there will be no doubt about it in 2034.
Linda Runbeck, current economic conditions are not real good, but during good economic conditions, the legislature had not funded some of these programs. And the questioner is wondering, does the current economic situation help or hurt chances of this amendment?
Well, I guess I have come from the point of view that for government to have less money generally is a good thing. It means you're going to get better decisions, you're going to get better projects, you're going to get better oversight. I'm not concerned about having less money. I think that when there are emergencies, those can be brought to the legislature. People understand them and they will act on them. I think some of this, a lot of this is it's feel good. So that isn't, some of it is not. I know. I mean, I don't. but show us where the urgency is. Show us which lakes are impaired. Show us how much it's going to cost to take care of this and this and this. But don't come with a vague statewide urgency, okay? People aren't that accepting of that kind of talk.
Terry Root, since you represent the Taxpayers League, I'll ask you about this one. Isn't this just this no vote that you're requesting just another way of saying no new taxes?
I don't believe so. I think one of the things that you have to look at is there's over 285 special interest groups that have endorsed this amendment. And that alone should make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And if not, you maybe don't have a pulse. But I think this is job security for special interest groups. 25 years. I'm a real estate broker. You know what my business is right now. I wish I had 25 days of job security. And so I truly believe that this is job security for all of these special interest groups. And I did sit on LCMR, and I can tell you that the Citizens Committee doesn't work, because when they take that bill to the floor of the Senate or the floor of the House, they amend it however they like it. It goes into conference committee, and it comes out how they want it to go out. And whatever project in whatever special district, whoever needs the help in their election. And that will be no different with this.
Well, we've been at this almost an hour, and it doesn't seem like it. And listening to the 4 of you, I think we could go on all afternoon, but we won't. So let's go to closing statements. as I mentioned today, take notes, write, go ahead and rebut some things you've heard. Let's start with the yes people. And are you both going to talk?
Sure.
We'll start with Larry Whitman.
And I'll be brief. I'm kind of inclined towards lots of facts and details and so on, but I'm putting this stuff away. Because I want to just say, I think key to this, I'm a very proud Minnesotan. I lived out in the cities. Driving up today, I was energized by every mile that I drove through, and I saw the place change. I grew up with my grandfather taking me fishing, and I grew up with my mother and my grandfather and my father taking me to arts organizations all throughout the state. And I have this great sense that I live in a very special place, in a place that's been cared for by people, and that I owe something to the future. I'm voting yes because I owe something to the future. Something has systemically broken down in our state, that our pollution control agency tells us our water's not safe to drink, that we can't go and swim like I grew up doing, that maybe the arts organizations and the other cultural amenities that we all take for granted might not be here in the future. I'm voting yes because that's what we have to protect. That the important fact here, and there's nothing vague about that, is it's time to take care of this right now.
Dave Vettner, you have about a minute.
Thanks, Don. I came to UMD in 1955 as a 19-year-old. One of the first things I did was go up the North Shore and look at the taconite going into Lake Superior directly from the tailings basin into our lake. And I said, gee, how did this come about? We changed that. We protected our lake, working together. This is about community. This is about each of us, with a modest sacrifice, getting Minnesota back on track. Look, let's face it, Don. In all the time that I've lived here, probably correctly, people have said, Minnesota's a high-tax state. It's an anti-business state. It's not a good environment for a business kind of economy. Guess what, folks? Minnesota's economy outstripped its neighboring states. Minnesota's people celebrated its progressivity. And the people I meet said, I'd love to live in Minnesota. Now, there's a state that cares about its resources. Look at our license plates before we vote. Make sure we take care of the 10,000 states, the 10,000 lakes. And I want to thank the opponents, and I want to recognize the fact that the issues they raised, the tensions that we have about trying to find that balance between how to fund things, when the taxes get to be too high, that's an important element in all of the discussions, and it's an important voice in our state. I want to thank both of you very much.
Senators, let's start with Senator Runbeck.
All right, thank you. I'm going to be voting no because I don't think it makes good sense as a taxpayer, as a landowner, as a sportsman even, as an arts person even, to say we're going to spend 8, 9, 10, 11 billion, I don't care what you want to say the number is, with no questions asked. As citizens, as taxpayers, as people who do care about our waters and our outdoors and our arts, this is not the way to do it. There will be very little investment from those of us who are actually voting for people, able to go to committee hearings, etc., to see what is being done with this money. So no questions asked, and certainly no way to reverse a decision. 25 years. If you find that it's not the answer, we can't do much about it. It's in law for 25 years. So we have a legislative process. We have thoughtful, sensitive legislators. They're not going to turn away from a crying need to fix dirty water. That's not who any of them are. So I think that in all good conscience, that the very best way to vote is to vote no, and it doesn't mean that you're an opponent of these things. It means you think there's a far better way to do it.
Terry Rood, you have the last word. Pressure's on.
Dangerous. Well, thank you for coming today. I think the one thing that's good about Minnesota is we are all so passionate about our state because we do use the resource. You know, there's nothing better than